my crafty friend, and thank you so much for tuning into today's Craft With Me video. Today I'm going to make a little peacock themed junk journal for my dear friend May. She loves peacocks, and a while ago while I was thrifting, I found, actually still back in December, I found this box at a thrift shop and decided that my next Happy Mail to May is going to fit in this beautiful box. And I'm not going to go through all the contents right now because I want things to be surprises for her, but basically it was divided into 3 compartments, and I've stuffed 1 and 2, and then there's still some space left in the big 3rd compartment. And since it's a peacock box, I decided I have to make her a little peacock journal. However, I've already made peacock journals for May in the past that, you know, she's already seen all of the peacock printables that I have because I've used them all in things I've given her before. And so I wanted to make her something peacock themed, but brand new that she's never seen. And so I took the liberty of designing a new peacock printable kit. And it's been such a joy to do. It includes lots of pages like this one that are peacock feathers and peacock color florals with space for writing. And then some pages that are large. I haven't cut the borders off these ones yet because I took my favorites from the kit and printed 2 per page. So the originals would be a full 8.5 by 11 size, and sadly the ink kind of bled through on some of them. But I'm just doing a quick little flip through to show you what the designs look like. You know, the last time I did a Craft With Me video, a lady left kind of a rude comment saying she tried to watch it, but I didn't make anything until 15 minutes in, which is not true. I had done some crafting at that point. But still, negative comments, what's the point of those? You know, why do people have to be rude? So anyway, I've challenged myself that this time around, I'm going to actually start crafting as soon as possible. So anyway, these are the same things I just flipped through, only trimmed down. And I decided this is going to be my cover. And when I was cutting these pages, I realized that the cover images, isn't that just gorgeous? I love, like from now on, I think I'm going to just use my own printables because I know my taste and so I can design them to my own aesthetic. But anyway, like when you print double-sided, you run the risk of your images not lining up perfectly. And so when I trimmed it to fit the cover, it left a little strip of white on the inside. I've left that, but I'm going to glue some fabric over it to cover that up. Oh, isn't that just pretty? And then some of them I printed full-sized because I like the contrast of small images and big images together. So yeah, instead of waiting until Saturday to publish this printable kit, I've published it in my Etsy shop to coincide with the release of this video in case you're inspired and you'd also like to make a little journal. The kit is ginormous. Like there are, I think, 60 pages that have peacocks and writing space and like 25 or 30 of the solid background pages, and then quite a few of the floral print but in coordinating colors pages, like to be the backgrounds. I went a little bit overboard with it, as I tend to do. See, and again with this one, to trim around these pages properly, I had to get white space here, but I'm going to cover that up with some pretty ribbons. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to make this journal for May to go in with her next Happy Mail. And then the duplicates of each of these, of course, I'm going to make a little Peacock journal for my Etsy shop as well, and that's what I will do a flip through video of on Saturday. Oh, I love this. This might just be my favorite paper in the whole kit. I wish the ink hadn't bled through, but I think they still look pretty. Yeah. So now that I've got these papers ready, I want to decide the order that they're going to go in the book. I think I want this to be the first thing she sees. Not that it's going to be a surprise. I know May sees my videos, and so it's likely that she'll see this. But anyway, I could sew this up just like this, and that would be a perfectly fine little journal. By the way, in the printable kit, I included a PDF of all these pages that I lined up together in case you want to print one out just like this. If you want it this size, either print it at 50% of the size of the file, or if your printer allows, print it so that you get 2 copies per page, and that way you'll get it to the same size. Now, I'm going to have to rudely step away because I forgot to bring my binding box. You can't poke holes in paper without an awl or something. But first I'm going to add some coffee dyed papers between the pages. I almost forgot to do that. So the other halves of all of these are going to go in the one for the shop. Boy, thank you to everyone who leaves positive feedback on my videos. You know, 90% of the comments on that last crafty video were polite and we're kind. But it's funny, I'm the kind of person, if I get any negative feedback, that's the feedback to which I pay the most attention. And I think we're all like that. And I think it's because when people give criticism, it makes us really self-conscious of what we're doing. And it also creates like a fear of repeating mistakes or not doing things in an enjoyable way. And I'm already a little bit self-conscious about crafting on camera just because I find it's hard to fill the space with conversation while I'm simultaneously thinking about what I'm doing. You know, flip through videos are easy to talk through because all you really have to do is like look at what you've already done and explain it. But the craft with me videos, they're just a little bit more thought required. But hopefully it'll get easier with time. Oh, see, look at how gorgeous that looks next to a coffee dyed blue page. And since the coffee dyed pages are a little bit bigger than the printed pages, I'm going to decorate the edges of the printed pages with some textile just to kind of fill that up a bit. So let's see, I'm going to set those things aside. This one I've decided instead of binding it with typical embroidery floss, I'm going to use some Peacock colored sari scrap, recycled sari scrap. And I'm going to do, instead of the 3-hole pamphlet stitch that I usually do, I'm going to do just a 2-hole stitch and tie like a bow at the spine. Just trying to decide if this is what I want as my center image. I think it is. That or that. No, I think this is more striking. But anyway, yeah, Valentine's Day is coming up. It's kind of funny that I released my Valentine's journal so much earlier than Valentine's Day, and then the actual Valentine's Day for me is going to be all about peacocks, but it kind of fits because the peacock colors are my all-time favorite colors. And they're my mom's favorite colors too. So I'm going to print out like the purplest of the Peacock pages and make her a Valentine's card out of that. Let's see. So to get this through, I'm just gonna kind of like wrap the sari on the awl. I should have tested this once off camera before trying to film the process. And if I get really quiet, it's just because I'm thinking, not thinking, concentrating. There we go. I love it when one goes through easily. Don't tell me there's a big knot in the sari. There is. That's okay, I pulled it through anyway. So I'm going to tie a bow here. I'm going to trim this side down so it matches that side. And there we have it. Like, you could just leave it like this and bingo bango, you've got yourself a cute little peacock themed mini book. You could also staple bind it or do the typical 3-hole pamphlet stitch. Really whatever you want. But me being a little bit extra, you know I'm going to embellish this baby. So I have pulled out from my junk jewelry stash some beads and things in peacock colors. This little pretty jewel. And I've also pulled out some trims that I've had in my stash. Trims and fabrics and things that I want to decorate the edges with. So let's see. This, I had originally glued some fussy cut pieces onto this like sequin trim, hoping to do a closure out of it, and then I just didn't like the way it looked. So I'm going to cut those off. And then, like, a lot of the times we get trims and we think we have to use them exactly as they are, but I don't want to use this entire thing. I just want to use these pieces as borders. So I'm just going to go in and snip it. One of the questions I sometimes get on my channel is, where do I source my trims and things like this? And people will say, you know, I've never seen one exactly like that. It's because I don't always use them as they are. I think this one was just from Michaels, either Michaels or Amazon when I was new to crafting. I try to get things just from antique stores and thrift stores now to try to cut down on the waste. Like, I try to avoid fast fashion and brand new art supplies, craft supplies. Obviously, like, there's some things you need to buy new, like printer ink and printer paper. But you know, I've even gotten lucky and found printer paper thrifting. And not only is it better for the environment to, you know, use thrifted stuff, but it's also much better for the budget. So let's see, I'm thinking, oh yeah. See how that already just elevates the look of this cover? And that kind of tore a little bit when I stuck the awl through, so putting this over the border is going to fix that little issue too. I think I'll use the thinner one on the sides so as not to lose too much of that design. And then this one on the tops and the bottoms. Now, I don't want to risk gluing my cover to the second page, so I'm going to put something between the two. I've got a plastic baggie nearby. I tend to always have plastic baggies nearby for exactly this purpose, and there's all kinds of stuff you can use for this. You can also use the backing of sticker paper. I always save the backings when I print out stickers on sticker sheet. Now, sorry, this is going to take a second, getting the glue to flow to the tip here. I'm down to the end of this Fabri-Tac bottle, and I just haven't had a chance to go to Michael's recently, but it's good to use things up to the last drop. And I find with regular glue, I can store it upside down to get it flowing quickly, but with Fabri-Tac, a couple of times I've made the mistake of storing it upside down, and sadly, it's all leaked out, and I don't want to make that mistake ever again. And you might have noticed I didn't stick this down so that the top edge lines up with the glue mark. I lined it up so that the bottom edge lines up with the glue mark. For one reason, that helps you see more of that image, but for another, that means the cover is going to come out larger than any of the pages. And now I'm going to put this on the side. And I'm not trimming it down to the size of the paper, or else the corners would look awkward. I'm trimming it to the size of the trim that sticks out. And I'm going to make both of them even. Yeah, so that last video that I made was my decorating my Valentine's themed journal with my Victorian Romance printable kit. And oops. You know, as much as I was hurt by the comment saying the video was unwatchable because I didn't craft quickly enough, sometimes we need that kind of constructive feedback to get ourselves into gear, because I must grudgingly admit, it's kind of cool being at the 15-minute-ish mark of this video and having already made something. But yeah, it was kind of annoying because that video also included a giveaway, and I announced in the video, everyone who leaves a comment, I'll enter your name into the draw to win the prize. And I kind of felt annoyed that, are you serious? Like, I have to enter somebody into a giveaway draw to win free stuff that it costs me money to ship. And their comment was critical. Like, that just seems wrong. But I replied back to that comment something along the lines of, you know, it's not easy for all of us to craft on camera, and I understand what you're saying, but is it really necessary to be mean? And I noticed the lady never replied back to that. And then I noticed she deleted her comment. So I kind of thought, well, good. She deleted it, so I don't need to enter her into the draw. But I don't know. Is that too... Was that wrong of me that I didn't want to enter her into the draw because she said something that hurt my feelings? I think, you know, the anonymity of the internet has made a lot of people worse than they are in real life. Like, I don't think somebody in real life would say to a crafter, you know, your work is unwatchable. I think the anonymity of the internet kind of gives people the feeling of a free pass. Now, That looks so cool, doesn't it? I love how that turned out. I was thinking of putting these here, but they're a little bit too green now that I look at them. Let's see. Maybe just a couple of those pieces. I also brought this scrap over so I could fussy cut a couple of flowers and stick those in the corners. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. So usually this is the kind of thing I will have prepared in advance before I do a video, but you can see the slow process, like how long it actually takes to do things like this. And my secret for cutting out flowers, whoops, try to stay on camera, flowers and round things is that first I cut kind of generally around the shape, and then I go in and just snip between each of the petals. And then once I reach the original snip, then I just do the same thing again, backwards. And it's not perfect, but I think you'll see when it goes down on the page, it's pretty good. And for me anyway, it's a lot faster and easier than meticulously cutting around the whole design in a way that requires constantly twisting and turning the fabric piece. There we go. And a couple little spots to clean up, but generally I'd say that's pretty good. That could go there. The little ones are easier and faster to cut out. But yeah, I'm pretty proud of the way this Peacock printable kit turned out. It includes, like I said, tons of sheets of writing paper with peacock designs and peacock colored florals and feathers and just gorgeousness. And then quite a few pages that are fully designed, like the cover. If I had printed them all out to show you on camera, it would have cost hundreds of dollars worth of printable ink. So that's why I've just, like I said, picked my favorites. There were a few of my favorites that didn't make the cut too, so I shouldn't even call them my favorites because a lot of them are my favorites. And I just glanced at the camera and realized I was out of frame. Yeah, I think I'm gonna layer these because as pretty as this is, I like it better when it's a little bit 3D. And then I'll do just one more of the little ones in the top other corner, top left corner. Whoops. Stay on camera. So yeah, I've done tons of peacock themed journals over the years. And one of the reasons I don't make them more often is that, like I said, I've used the same exact printable kit every time I've made a peacock journal. And it's a pretty kit, but somebody else put it together, and I don't necessarily like all of the ephemera pieces that come with the printable, but they're all laid out on the same page. So if I print it, I have to print all of them. And usually some of them wind up in the recycling bin because they're just not my style. You know, like one of them has peacocks along with like a menswear clothing ad, and that's, you know, handsome as men are, I'm more into the pretty girly things. And it gets a little boring when you're constantly creating with the same digitals and the same designs. So that's why I made this particular peacock kit ginormous. Like, it's got so many at least 100, probably hundreds, plural, of pages to work with. And that's the reason, because I love having lots of options, and like you could make 3 or 4 different Peacock themed journals out of this one kit and use entirely different pages for every single journal. Unless, of course, you print 2 per page like I do. I'm being a hypocrite here because I'm about to make 2 journals with the same identical pictures, but it's still new to me, so they'll still be fun to use. And I don't throw away everything, so you'll notice like the plain gold stitches on the borders, like those will get cut down and used in border designs at some point. I gave a big piece of this fabric. This is fabric that I ordered from India when I was new in my junk journal learning process. And I gave a big piece of it. I ordered maybe 3 meters, 2 or 3 meters. And I gave more than half of that to my grandmom for Christmas that year. And she made herself the most gorgeous vest I've ever seen out of the piece I gave her. Oh yeah, look at that. I love it when it turns out looking super cool. Yeah, I'll see if I can, I'll ask her if I can take a picture of her vest next time I visit her. And maybe I'll post it on my Instagram for those who are curious. Yet my grandmom is a very talented, more than just a seamstress. Like, she doesn't just make her own clothes, she also designs a lot of them to go with the fabric that she's given. In a Happy Mail, Angelica had given me a huge batch of animal print fabric, and I gave a piece of that to my grandmom because there was just more, so much more of it than I would ever be able to use in my own crafting. So I kept as much as I wanted and then gave the rest to my grandmom. And she made herself, sorry, I'm off camera again. I need a little alarm that sounds whenever I'm off camera so that it can be like, ding, 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 get back in frame. But yeah, she made herself a blouse, and there was enough for her to also make a pair of pants to match it. So she's making herself a full animal print pantsuit, but she told me that it would be too much to wear it all together, so she's going to do plain black pants to wear with the leopard print blouse and a plain black blouse to wear with the leopard print pants. And I showed Angelica a picture of the blouse, and she asked if my grandma would like more of that fabric to make a whole, in case she wants to run a whole line of these blouses. And absolutely not. I think my grandma would probably feel pretty overwhelmed if she had to make multiples of the same thing. She's 91 years old, guys, and still very active and very healthy. We're blessed by that in my family. I shouldn't say absolutely not so rudely as in, how dare you offer my grandmom a gift, but just, no, thank you. She would not want to mass produce her creations. And if you're one of my regular viewers, you already know, but if you're new, I feel the need to explain. The sound of running water in the background is my cat's water fountain. There, how does that look? Is that too much or is that just right? I'm wondering, does every corner really need something, or do I kind of like it with just these two? Or even just something like that. Maybe something like that, and then I'll save that to go somewhere inside. I think that's how I'll do it. Yeah, and the saga of the cat's water fountain is that I used to unplug it every time I film a video and then plug it right back in again afterwards. But a couple of weeks ago I did that, and when I plugged it back in again, it didn't work. And I was panicking because 2 of my 3 cats will drink water out of their water dishes, but one of them, she only drinks out of the fountain. So without the running water, I was afraid she'd get dehydrated, so I immediately ordered a new cat fountain. And while I was waiting for it to arrive, this one started working again. But I decided no more unplugging it to film videos because I can't risk my girlies not having access to filtered, moving water. So alas, my videos will have a water feature, the sound of dripping water in all of them. Notice how it seems louder now that I've pointed it out. It's like the water fountain is like, yay, she mentioned me. Oh. As much as I love Fabri-Tac glue, it is death to nail polish. So it's kind of silly to do my nails before a craft with me video because they will be glue smeared. Then do I want this? I found this in a junk jewelry jar and thought it's perfect for peacock colors. Maybe I'll do it in the center there. That looks kind of cool, doesn't it? Maybe not necessary. I'll set that aside too, and maybe that'll go somewhere inside the journal. So I'll carefully peel this back. Not bad. You know, I don't mind how that's looking on the inside either. But I think I will do something just around those edges to mask the edge. And I'll glue something down there too, just to hide that tear. I hope that's not on every page. No, it's not. And May is so loving and so forgiving. I'm sure she'll adore her journal, even if it has that. But I think I'm learning from my mistakes as I go. So when I do the one for my shop, I'll do a regular binding instead of trying to get fancy with the sari trim. So this is just a scrappy scrap from something else that I made, but I saved it and I'm going to use that to line these edges. And this is sewn through, so I'm going to try to, oh good, undo those stitches. I say oh good because it's not fighting with me, and usually if I'm on camera, that's when my supplies choose to fight with me. But yeah, I think peacocks are one of my all-time favorite journal themes because they're so beautiful and so majestic, and they're made of my all-time favorite colors. I mean, I don't think peacocks in nature have purple feathers, but somehow in our collective imagination, purple is a peacock color. And my favorite colors are blue, turquoise, green, and purple. So nothing beats the peacock theme color scheme. You know, I don't try to rhyme when I speak, but it happens sometimes. The peacock theme color scheme. And I had mentioned I'm going to pick one of these images to make a Valentine for my mom. She absolutely loves peacocks. She has a beautiful, enormous framed picture of a peacock in her living room. And her walls are all painted turquoise, different shades of turquoise. Yeah, I love her house. She's done a great job designing the decor. And so I know that a peacock colored peacock Valentine will just go so much better with her. I'm trying to peel the glue off before it wrecks my nails. I think I did it. It'll just go so much better with her place than a red and pink heart thing, while being much less basic. But you know, I shouldn't say basic. I had so much fun this year making a little red and pink with just a little bit of blue Valentine journal. Kimberly, I hope you love it. I hope you have as much fun with it as I had making it, especially the deck of oracle cards at the back and the twin crystal. That was a special piece. I'm so tempted to just store this upside down. I'm going to. F it. Hopefully because I'm standing right here, it won't start dripping out, but I'll catch it in time. There, doesn't that look so much more finished now? It's not just the blue back of that thing peeking out from the front. It looks deliberate. I'm not going to do this on every single page, just the cover. Let's see. And then on this side, I'm going to let it hang over a little bit. I'm thinking like that. And let's see how that'll look on the front. Oh yeah, that's not bad. Not bad at all. By the way, I did not plan any of this. I'm just kind of, I picked all the materials that I thought would go with this printable kit and kind of just piled them on my messy desk here and decided that as I film, I'll pick my next move. I'm very much a spontaneous crafter. I don't like to have a set template for what I'm doing. I kind of like to just make it up as I go. It's interesting how there are different types of crafters and different types of creativity in the world. My mom said she sometimes marvels at what I make because she's the opposite of me. She needs a guidebook and rules and formulas. Like, she can do cross stitch, following a cross stitch pattern. She's taken up knitting recently. But she said as soon as she's presented with a bunch of materials, if she doesn't know what to do with them, she panics. Like, she needs a guideline. There we go. Now I'm glad I cut this little piece out. She does diamond dotting, cross stitch, plastic canvas, all those kinds of things. And I just can't. I can't do those things because I don't have the patience to make something that already exists. Like, I need to make something brand new. I can't make something somebody else has already made and created instructions for. And I think that's what I love so much about junk journals. Before journals, it was making jewelry. That was kind of my thing. But I find even making jewelry kind of bores me now because it's very formulaic. Doesn't really have as much room for improvisation. There we go, look at that. I want to do some stuff on the back cover too. Oh yeah, and I need to cover up that white, so I'm going to not do this in order, which is another thing you get to do when you're making things up as you go along. I'm thinking of lining this with more of the sari, but stupidly, I only brought enough for the tie, so pardon me while I rudely step away. Taking me longer than planned because I had to stop to pet my kitty. Okay. So now, for the fun of trying to find the end of this. This is the first time I've ever used recycled sari, and I had to watch a YouTube tutorial. I had to Google like how to open the skein. I keep looking at my cut piece thinking it's the end. And I'm sure people are going to yell at the camera right now, but I just don't have the patience to look for the end, so I'm creating a new end. Just cutting into it willy-nilly, because you know what? I bought it with my own money, and I am allowed to do that. So let's see, I think I checked and this one fits already. It does. I'm gonna move my ephemera aside. Get my plastic bit here. Am I on camera? I'm sorry if I'm not on camera. I'm also sorry that I complained about the not even that rude but kind of rude comment. I shouldn't perpetuate negativity by even mentioning things like that. Sometimes it's hard not to though. I think in my last Craft With Me video, I aired my grievances. For anybody watching this, if you've watched Seinfeld, it kind of felt like a Festivus. Festivus in February, the airing of grievances. I mean, I complained about the weather in last week's video when it was the balmy tropical temperature of -19 that day. Today, here in Lethbridge, Alberta, it's -30. So if ever there was a time to air my weather-related grievances, that time is now. Funny how saying I'm not going to do something is all I need to say in order to do the thing that I wasn't going to. No, I'm not going to air grievances again. But yeah, it's funny, I was watching, I think, Leslie at 507 Willow House. Now, there is a lady who has mastered the art of crafting on camera without getting flustered or annoyed. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. But I'm going to cut off all these loose bits. Yeah, and I think it was her. It could have been a different crafter, but one of those Southern lady junk journal makers was talking about the weather there had been in the 80s Fahrenheit. And she was complaining about that. And it made me think, you know, whatever we have, we're envying the other. Although I don't think any of you are envying my -30. It's at -40 that Celsius and Fahrenheit become the same. So that's how cold it is. It's almost so cold that there's no difference between Celsius and Fahrenheit. And that is freaking cold. I'm just kind of bunching this as I put it down. Instead of trimming it to size, I wanted it to get a little bit of texture. And you know, maybe here's where I use these things. Nope, they're just too plastic. I just don't like the way those things look. Does it need these babies? Maybe the small ones. But I don't know, I think I'm getting better at this whole crafting on camera thing. Every craft with me / tutorial video that I do feels a little bit more natural than the video before. I think my mistake last time, and I'm sure somebody is watching this thinking, but I liked how you did that, and thank you, because I did too. I try to film videos in a way that if it wasn't me, if it was another crafter who made the video and I was watching, I would enjoy it. That's what I aim for. So the last time when I did my Valentine's video, before making anything, oh yeah, I like that. Before making anything, I first showed all the different pages of the printable kit that I was working with. Because sometimes I watch videos where crafters are showing what they make out of their printable kits. Or, you know, design team videos where they're using a printable kit created by a designer. And they just start crafting right away. They don't show the pages of the kit first. And I always think, well, I want to see. Before you cut it up and make it into something, I want to see what it looks like in its entirety, like in its uncut state. So I guess it just goes to show we all have a different preference. And I might want one of those right there in the middle. Yep, I think I do. So yeah, normally if I was making a Happy Mail journal gift for somebody, I would not film the process of making it because I'd want it to be a surprise. But the lovely May, she's told me in the past that some of her favorite pages in books I've made for her are the pages that I craft on camera because she got to see their creation. So that's why I'm doing this. I hope she likes that. Otherwise, I would make hers secretly and save the results for the flip through and do a craft with me tutorial using, of the journal for the Etsy shop. But I'm doing it the other way around here. And you know, when May sent me a big Christmas package, it included a ginormous junk journal, the biggest junk journal I've ever had the pleasure of receiving. And I did a flip through of that journal, but there were also other pages and other little journals that she had made that I've put into a pile specifically to do another Happy Mail video. I've just been kind of waiting for a week where I don't have a video plan. And then I got hit by the creativity stick in a good way. I'm grateful for that. After a few months of creative block where I didn't really feel like making anything, I'm back in my creative stride. And so I haven't gotten around to filming all those other Happy Mail goodies. And then I got a notification that there's a package on its way from her. And I thought, oh my God, she's sending me something else before I've even shown everything that she sent last time. So there will be videos coming up showing the gorgeous pieces from her. Now I'm trying to decide, do I want things in this corner? Yay or nay? Looks a little incomplete, right? If I only do this side and not anything here or there. Maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll put things here and here to frame it. Hopefully that won't make this video unwatchable because it's taking me so long. That came out very salty and sarcastic, didn't it? I saw something when I was new to making YouTube videos that a psychologist had put out there, that the human brain is wired to dwell on negative feedback much more strongly than celebrating positive feedback. And that's why when we get negative comments from people, it doesn't matter if we've had 100 people sing our praises. When one person says something critical, that's the thing that our brain gets hyper focused on. And it's unfortunate, and it's funny, like when you become aware of that, it's easier to break that pattern and to remind yourself that, you know, the majority positive comments far outweigh the negative, and that it's not necessary to stress and worry about the negative. But even when you're aware of it, it can be a little bit difficult. And I think it's good to show you how I cut these things out, because for the longest time, maybe some of you are bored to tears thinking, damn, I'd give this bitch a negative comment, but she keeps going on about how rude that is. Sorry, the B word is not good. I have a friend who, she and I are in the unfortunate habit of calling each other the B word, but with the utmost of love. My mom and her best friend do that too, and she said it comes from an episode of Cheers that they watched back in the 80s. I think it was Carla and her sister. I won't repeat the words they called each other. I try to keep my channel clean. That looks better, doesn't it? Now it's kind of filled in. But anyway, I was saying, I think it's good to show you how I cut these out on camera, because when I was new to the world of junk journaling, I would buy sari trims and embellished fabrics, and I would use them as they were. Like, I would never cut into shapes or cut things out because it felt like I was wasting the rest of the fabric. But I've broken that pattern by realizing it's better to waste some of it and get the most beautiful result than to waste the whole thing by letting it just sit there unused. See, I kind of like that next to that because of the symmetry. Yeah, glue time. And yay, none of it spilled out. So instead of gluing on the little things, I'm going to put the glue directly on the paper, and that way I know it's not going to glue down to the next side because my plastic sheet is under this part. I also used to be the type of crafter who would never glue on top of a patterned page because I felt like I want the entire pattern to be visible. And it's taken me quite a while to trust myself to do things like this and to know that it's not going to ruin it. And that it's okay if you're covering up one thing with something that makes it look even prettier. Uh-oh. Yeah. And see, I am going to have to cover up that pretty little detail because I don't like the way it looks when there's a glue glob visible on the page. I promise the next time I do a craft with me video, it's not going to be filled with so much glue bottle sounds trying to get the glue out. I will have a new Fabri-Tac by then. But yeah, when it's between -20 and -30 every day, It's very hard to get the motivation to go to the craft store. I find freezing cold weather very much motivates me to craft because I'm not going outside unless it's to shovel the sidewalks. And boy, am I ever grateful that I can do my Etsy shops and YouTube work for a living so I don't have to go out there and catch the bus or work outside. There we go. That looks pretty cool for the last page. Oh yeah, and the back cover looks so much more filled now. Look at that little peacock in his. Peacocks are all male, the peahens are the female. So in his frame. And I'm not going to do anything top or bottom because I like those little sari ruffles, but I am going to put something here because the glue seeped through. So let's see, let's hold that down. Do I want sari trim? That's pretty. Do I want gold? No. Too stark. Do I want sequin trim like on the front? That's pretty. I think I'm going to do sequin trim. But maybe with a little sari trim over top just in the middle. Ah! Some people might leave it because they like it, but I tend to pick off the messy bits. There we go. Oh, I could also do it like that. Maybe I'm making a liar out of myself, and I will do something top and bottom too. Let's see. Or should I do... Yeah, I like the blue better. I've reached the point in the video where I'm not even trying to fill it up with the sound of my own voice. If I'm cutting something or thinking about something, I'm letting myself just do that. I've had lovely viewers suggest, like, film the crafting process silently and then edit the video and put music in the background or do a voiceover. And that's just not me. For one thing, I am way too lazy to edit my videos. For another thing, when I've tried to do edited videos, like filming one part of something and then the next part on another day, my iPhone just won't let me convert the move from iMovie to storage. It always says I don't have enough space. Mind you, that was before I upgraded to a newer phone with more storage space, so maybe it would work now, but it's frustrated me so many times in the past that I just don't want to muck around with editing ever again. Yeah, and I want something here to break up all of that bright shininess. So let's see. Maybe that. And I'm sorry, but the music ones, if I see a beautiful journal video pop up on my YouTube recommended feed, and I click on it, and it's a song, like it's music, and the person is not describing the pages or pointing things out or talking about their work. I switch off so fast. Like I just can't watch those videos that have music in the background. I get too bored. I like a conversational video. And I feel like it would be hypocritical to make a video that I wouldn't want to watch. So that's why I do them this way. And I mean, I'm sure there are people like the lady from last week who will not subscribe to me and not want to watch because it's not their taste. But it just feels to me like it's more authentic to do it to my taste than to try to please everyone and do everything. Let's see. Taking apart something that you made years ago is always fun. By the way, I saw something on Instagram yesterday that I should have saved it. It was a quote from a famous artist who I'd never heard of before, saying, every great artist has a drawer full of terrible art that they will never show anybody. And that resonated so much with me because I have a drawer full of journal covers that I made that I just didn't like, so I've never filled them with signatures. Crafty bits that I've thrifted and set aside and just never really feel inspired to use them because they're not the kind of colors I like or they're not the kind of theme that I like. Things like this closure here that I finally decided to take apart and repurpose. So if you're a crafter and you feel like the people you see on YouTube always make beautiful things, it's true, we do, but we also make some ugly things that never see the light of day, that you'll never see on YouTube. So I'm thinking putting that there. Is that what I want, or do I want to do just this little corner piece here? Maybe just this. My little get on camera alarm is going off. These little scissors are the best little scissors ever. Oops. Viscar's Easy Action. Kat Stone sent these to me because she knows I do a lot of fussy cutting, and she said they were a game changer for her, so much easier on the joints, and boy was she ever right. And they're so sharp that I don't have to struggle when cutting fabrics. Even these heavily embroidered fabrics. Where did that little triangle go? Here it is. And that concludes the textile component of this video. Now I'm going to go through and decorate the inside with the ephemera bits that I've cut out. See, look at how much more fancy this looks already. It's been an hour and 5 minutes and I've done all this in real time. And personally, I feel like fabric goes a long, long way in the beautification of a journal. And you know what? I lied. There is still something I need to do with textile, and that is cover up the white stripes that run one of these pages. I have to find them first. Here we go. I'm going to step away again because for this, I don't want to use the textiles I have here. I think I'd like to use some vintage ribbon. So here we go. I found this at an antique store, vintage lace for $5. And that was like one of my greatest of all time junk journal scores. Oh, another score happened. Oh yeah, look how pretty that is. I don't have to be matchy-matchy all the time. I can use some neutrals, even in a journal full of jewel tone colors. Let's see. Sorry, another great score happened. Every Wednesday I have pancake day with my mom. She picks me up, takes me to her house, makes delicious vegan pancakes, and after breakfast, we go to my grandma's house for tea and a visit. And yeah, maybe the time before last, when I was at my grandma's house, I say house, but it's like a condo in one of those assisted living places. Not an old folks home. Like, she has her freedom and there's no medical staff involved. Retirement community, that might be more the term for it. But anyway, so one of her neighbors knocked on her door and said to her, like, Esther, I have a big bunch of lace that I found that I'll never use. Would you like to use it? And my grandmom has told me multiple times that she doesn't like lace. She doesn't use it. She doesn't like it. She gave me all of the lace that she's ever had. And so before she could even answer, I said I would. And my grandma had to say, oh, this is my granddaughter, and she makes journals and she uses fabrics and laces. So lucky me, that lady pulled them out one by one and said, would you use this? Would you use that? Would you use this? And I yepped my way through that whole little bag of laces. It's not as big as that bag I just showed you that was from the antique store. They're very much just snippets and fragments, like not really any big long pieces, but still perfect for embellishments. Maybe in a future craft with me video I'll show you. Oh my goodness. Come on, Fabri-Tac. This glue is too expensive to malfunction when you get to the end. I've also had it happen that the nozzles have broken off, and it always feels like $1,000 glue, you expect more. Okay, more like $40 glue, but still. Oh, my poor nails. Aw. No more painting my nails before the craft with me videos. You're gonna have to see them in their ugly natural state from now on because it's too tragic to lose a fresh manicure to glue. But anyway, I got super, super lucky because when that lady left my grandmom's house, on her way out, she said, so in the future, if I come across beautiful fabrics that nobody really has a use for, I will save them for you. And I was so excited and said, thank you so much. and then kind of just forgot about it until the very next week when I got to my grandma's house, and sitting on the seat that I always take. I'll just go get it to show you. Yet sitting on the chair where I always sit was this beautiful ivory colored, gorgeous, gorgeous thing. And my grandmom has a lot of things like this in her place. Like she covers her dresser with one, and she uses it on her windowsill. So I just set it aside and sat down assuming it was one of her pieces that she was waiting to put out on display. But she said, "Sarah, that is from Lois. She brought it for you." And I said, "Are you kidding? Like this beautiful thing?" And it turns out it was the altar cloth at their church. My grandmom, I was raised Roman Catholic, and my grandmom is still a weekly churchgoer. And so they had asked my grandmom to sew them a new altar cloth because one of the candles had dripped and rendered this one no longer appropriate to use in mass. And so yeah, the priest gave her permission to give it to me to use in my crafting, and it is just absolutely beautiful. I'm working on a gift journal for whoops, sorry, distracted by glue again. I'm working on a gift journal for the lovely Angelica, and some of that is going to go in her journal. She's going to be the first one to get a piece of that because she's Catholic. So I feel like it'll have some significance to her to have a piece of lace in her journal that was used in actual mass. Yeah, as an actual altar cloth. So yeah, my grandmom is basically the resident seamstress in her community. Anytime anybody needs anything altered or repaired, like a new zipper put on a jacket, or a hemline taken up, or darts let out if you gain a little weight, it's my grandmom who does it. And she charges a flat rate of 1 hug per sewing job. Doesn't matter how big or how small it is. She charges a hug. And it was funny. Usually it's the ladies in her community who ask her to repair things and give her a hug as a thank you, but she gets all kinds of cool little gifts too. One lady made her a crocheted teddy bear that sits on her lamp table now. Sometimes they bring her boxes of chocolates or home-baked cookies. Like she charges a hug, but she usually gets a little bit more than a hug. But what was funny is she did a repair for a man who is not a hugger. And it was funny. I wasn't there to see it, but my grandmom is a fairly animated storyteller. So when she tells you about something, it feels like you were there. When he came to collect his, I think it was a shirt that she took in for him. When he came to pick up his shirt, at the end, she said he kind of danced from foot to foot a little bit and awkwardly said, "So, do I really have to hug you?" And she said, "Well, yes, you do. That's my fee." And it's kind of funny that, yep, she means it. She means business. When she says it costs you a hug, you are going to give her a hug. Do I want to put this here? Well, I'll cut it out and then we'll decide. I'm a liar. What did I say like 20 minutes ago? So ends the textile component of this craft with me video. And now we're going to do the ephemera. Liar, liar. Because here I am, still on textiles, interrupted the entire crafty process to do a little show and tell of that altar cloth. But yeah, talk about being in the right place at the right time. It's funny, as soon as Lois, her neighbor, asked her, you know, Esther, can you use these laces? And I rudely chimed in, didn't even let my grandma answer first. I just said, I will. Because, you know, to be fair, I know my grandma, and I know that she does not use lace. But my mom immediately said, Sarah, she's not offering them to you. She's offering them to grandma, and kind of seemed a little bit embarrassed by her daughter's greedy me response. But yet my grandma said, well, then I'll take them, and immediately I will re-gift them to Sarah. So it's kind of cute. Oops. But yeah, talk about, again, being in the right place at the right time. You know, being there when the lovely crafter Lois had her laces. Oh yeah, I think I do want to put that there. Yeah, and finding out how quickly she meant it when she said that she will set aside beautiful fabrics for me from then on. And she also told me that once a year, one of the churches in town, not one of the Catholic churches, one of the, I think the Anglican church, has what they call a grandmother sale. Tell me if you've heard of these before, because I had never heard of these things. Apparently, the grandmothers of that particular church community get together and rent the church hall. They don't rent it, obviously they don't pay. They do a fundraiser for the church. So they set up in the church hall all of their unused craft supplies, and people flood in and buy it for dirt cheap. And Lois told me, you know, it's everything from beads to fabrics to laces to threads to paper to old clothing and things that could be cut up and used for textile art. And oh my goodness. But she said there's a lot of pushing and shoving and elbowing. I guess it's a pretty popular sale, and that the local craft community flock to it. And the way she described it, my mom interjected that it sounds a lot like what Americans call Black Friday. Yet we don't really have Black Friday in Canada. I'm trying to decide whether I want to put anything here. It felt it's a little tacky just right there. So I think, yeah. This is one of the pieces in my printable kit. I also had a bigger version of it. And keep in mind, they're not this tiny typically. It's because I printed the ephemera sheet half size. Oh, that's pretty. But I think I'm going to put that there as a tuck spot. Yeah, I could do that there. No, I don't want to use that little one. These poor little green paisley things, I think I'll repaint them. I think what's bothering me is that they were green and then had mica dust and glaze, and they just still look a little bit too green for me. It's too big. That's too big too, and I don't want to cover up the feather. Is this the time when I use that little piece? No. Too 3D. I'm thinking I don't necessarily want to cut into this or cut the pieces out, because I might use it like a fabric flip. Or I might just do that part off camera on my own time. You know, it's not really, oh yeah, it is. It is that noticeable. Okay. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this part. Nothing gets wasted. But yeah, grandmother's sale. I'd never heard of them before. And yet she said it's not a bake sale, like you don't get baked goods. It's not a craft sale, like they're not selling made things. It's like a supply de-stash. And yet she told me that she will tell my grandmom the next time they're having one. And I'm pretty sure, I haven't asked her yet, but I'm pretty sure my Aunt Mary Lynn will want to come with me. She's into that kind of stuff too. Especially when Lois said like old vintage jewelry usually winds up. No, I don't like that. It's falling apart. But yeah, Mary Lynn collects vintage beaded things and Bakelite and that kind of stuff. Ooh, I know what I'll do. Just the littlest piece of that. Maybe a little snippet of this. I'm thinking just a little tiny scrap cluster. Oh, and then maybe this can go on it. No. And this is too long. We're almost at the end of the textile component. I really wanted to finish this journal on camera, not just start it, so you can see how quickly they can be done, but I might just be disproving my point of how quick and easy they are. Except that you don't have to go all out with all the fabric pieces. Like I said, just, I don't want to toot my own horn, but how beautiful these printable pages turned out to be. You know, you can just use the papers as they are. Yes. It's stuck when I put it down, and so it stays. I did use the little gem. Okay. And I'm going to turn this into a tuck spot. Now we get to the ephemera bits. So I made a few of these. I didn't cut them all out, but what I think I might do is get some gold paint and go around the edges of this so that it's framed, and then I'll glue it down somewhere. So I'll save that for later. This I'm going to glue just there and there so that it's like a tuck spot. And before I put it down, I'm going to use my finger to just get the excess off so that it doesn't, and it's still kind of globbing out a little bit, but a little bit is okay. I just don't want big, huge glue globs. And then I just rub it off my hands. I'm sure we all do that, just we don't usually do it on camera. All right. Is this dry enough to close now? Yes, it is. And therefore this one must be too. Oh good, this side stayed comparatively dry, so I don't need to glue anything there. Yay, we really are finished with the textile part. It's decoration time. Oh, except I wanted to cover up that. Dough. Would it still close? Yes, it would. Okay, after this, I promise we're done with the textile part. But before that, I'm so very sorry. I'm first going to cut this out. Interesting how I didn't bring any big full pieces of textile material over here. I brought just scraps. And it goes to show you don't need lots of material in order to make a beautiful embellishment. Like, you can really play with your scraps, play with your leftovers, and have things look beautifully finished. Yeah, I don't mind that there. Good. The glue had leaked out, so I'm not even squeezing it. I'm just using the stuff around the edges. You know, there are some people I watch, like Nazi at Amity Bloom, and I forget her name, but the lovely lady who does Ruby and Pearl, and sometimes Leslie at 507 Willow House. And some of these ladies they'll craft on camera, and they'll be using Fabri-Tac glue to glue one piece of paper to another piece of paper. And I always want to say, like, are you a billionaire? Like, how can you use Fabri-Tac for things that you could use tacky glue? You know, it's a little bit more expensive than Elmer's or typical white glue, but boy, it's good quality and lasts forever. So have I even gone through the ephemera bits? You saw the fussy cut one that looked like a jewel. And keep in mind, these are printed half the size of usual. I've used this. I found this years ago in the public domain. It's a design for an Art Nouveau stained glass window. And what I love to do is fold it in half and make it into a mini tall journal cover. And of course I edited the images around, so I flipped it to make it symmetrical so that they're both facing inward. But yeah, all of these little ephemera bits are public domain images that I found. And yeah, I've thought of making a Peacock ephemera kit a few times using those public domain pieces, but I felt like it's just not enough to sell as a kit. But boy golly, is it ever enough now with all of these wallpaper and writing paper designs I came up with using an auto generator. But I find when you type in the right request, holy moly, does it ever give you beautiful results. And all of these ephemera pieces, they're available in the kit as full page downloads, but if you print them like 16 to a page, they make beautiful journal cards. This is like one of these, but I cut it as a strip, and I'm thinking I'll just straighten it up and then ink the edges and make it into a long, narrow kind of a tuck spot. Another antique public domain image. Some of these I didn't cut perfectly. Isn't that gorgeous? The albino peacock with the regular peacock. My red nail polish gucked up that one, so I don't think I'll use it. And then these two beautiful journal cards. Yeah, before I glue any of these down, yet again, I'm going to rudely walk away. I always tell myself I didn't forget anything, and then when I get to the next step, I realize I forgot my corner clipper and I forgot my distress ink. So yeah, I won't do it for all of them. I think it's nice to have a variety where some of the journal cards are corner clipped and then some of them are intact. But I always like an inked edge. for a journal card, especially when I leave the back blank to write on, like these. I've never asked May. I need to ask her whether she actually journals in her journals or if she just keeps them as objets d'art, objects of art. Because if she writes in them, I will continue making her things that are blank on the back so that she can actually use them. But if she just collects them, which is kind of what I do, I use the journals I make, and I tend to just hoard the journals other people make because somehow it feels like they're too precious and too complete to write in. Also because one of the friends I made when I was in India, a very lovely lady, my God, one of the coolest people I've ever met. She was the co-founder and art director of a company called Paper Blanks. And she saw me using a Paper Blanks journal one day when we were in India together, and struck up a conversation and asked me what I was writing in, and I told her, oh, it's this really cool Canadian company called Paper Blanks, and I love their designs. And she kind of laughed and said, thank you. And yeah, we became friends. And one day, when I spoke out against a cult that we had both been in, she sent me a message saying that she'd like to send me a little gift just as a thank you for my bravery. And I gave her my address, and she sent me a box of, like, I didn't count them, but it must have been like 15 different journals, all my favorites, and a couple of pencil holders. So when it comes to journals for writing in, I am set for life. I've always got a Paper Blanks on the go. I have one of the smaller sized ones I write all of my dreams in. Not all of them, but whenever I have a particularly noteworthy, memorable, spiritual, sort of beautiful dream, I always write them down. And then another one that I use kind of like a regular journal. And I don't use it consistently, but whenever there's like an occasion, like a trip to the mountains, or when I do something particularly interesting, or when a milestone hits, like Kenley and my anniversary or birthday, I like to write about it. Just because I know in future years it'll be fun to go back and relive those memories. So I am a journaler, but for me, junk journals are more about just having the beautiful thing to look at. An awesome collection of papers and textiles and gorgeousness. But yeah, the ones I make myself, I actually do write in them. I like to write poetry in my junk journals. I like to write about my creative process in them, like when I come up with a new design idea or a new technique, or when I have like a list of journal ideas that I'd like to make in the future. Those are the things I like to write in my personal junk journals. But yeah, I think this one I'm not going to ink because it is white. It doesn't need it. But yeah, I know that Kat Stone writes in her journals. So the last gift journal I made for her, I made sure it included lots of writing space and blank pages for her to do her art and do her journaling. But yeah, I need to remember to ask May. What are you do with your journals? Those of you who have made it to this point in the video, do you journal in them? Do you collage in them? Do you paint or draw? Do you just hoard them because they're beautiful? I think junk journals are so cool because there's no wrong answer. Like, anything we do with our journal is what we're meant to do with them. People in this wonderful community online totally get it, but in real life, there are people, when I show them the journals I make, they say, well, people actually buy those? What do you do with it? It's not really a journal. Where do you write? People, huh? Either they get it or they don't. And that's something so universal. I've heard so many other crafty ladies here on YouTube, like Leslie at 507 Willow House, in her Southern accent and Southern way of speaking. I wish I could remember how she worded it. I almost spat out my coffee listening to her one day when she was talking about the craft equivalent of muggles. Not really. That's my way of wording it, not hers, but people who don't get junk journals encountering her over-the-top, full of book pages and antique ephemera and just embellished to the nines, asking her, like, but what are you supposed to do with it? And I think that's the difference between a creative person and a rule follower, right? Like the people who excelled in art class and creative writing, like us, I'm sure I can include you who are watching this in that category. We tend to know what to do with a junk journal. And those who were more math, science, phys ed-based achievers, like team sports players, like rule followers, they tend to get overwhelmed and not know what to make of these things. I love this one. This might be my favorite of the journal cards. And like I said, any page in the kit can be a journal card. Just print 4 per page if you want them to be about this size, 2 per page if you want them to be the size of a regular journal page, 9 per page if you want them little. Why am I going on? You know how a printer works. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I did go ahead and include in the printable kit journal cards laid out the way I had printed them, just to make it easier for those who don't want to muck around with the printer settings. I do want to tuck a little something in there, but I think I want it to be one of my designs. That's a little too matchy-matchy with that next page. Ooh, but this one, that kind of works. Yeah. When you don't glue your lace bits down too much, they make really good tuck spots. This is going here. The sunlight has reached that angle that it's a little glary on camera, so I'll probably end this video soon. Pretty. I love that old painting. Yeah, and really anything that goes on any of these pages is going to look lovely. I think I'll do this one. And I'm thinking I might glue it to this and then glue this like this so that it's like a flip down. Or is that too bulky? Yeah, that's a little too bulky. No, I'll just do a little glue strip. I didn't even use any of the beads. I think what I'll do with the beads, I obviously have to cut these bracelets apart, but I'm thinking I'll put this on a wire and then put that on a paper clip and stick that onto a page, and then I'll put more ephemera under that. Yeah, I'm gonna step away again and get my paper clips. And my wire. Okay. That glue needs to dry anyway. And you know, I better get something to put the beads in. A little box of postage stamps. So let's see. Of course, they're falling out. Hopefully they fit. Sometimes the holes on the beads are too big yet, and it goes right through. Let's see. That one fits though. But I don't know if I like those two together. Maybe this little one. Oh yeah, that's better. Then I want one of these gold ones too. Aren't these fun? I was going to put one of these somehow on the cover, but they're just so big and heavy. I might do a video. Let me know if you'd be interested. At some point in time, I might do a video about what to do with junk jewelry, like how to add it to journals. No, that doesn't need 2 beads. That purple on the bottom, gold on top. That's a good way. And then I just make a little loop. Oh, I have to step away yet again. Luckily, I didn't have to go far this time. I just needed my pliers. It's funny, I make more jewelry to put in my journals these days than to actually wear or sell as jewelry. There we go. But yeah, I love junk jewelry. And by junk jewelry, I mean the kind of jewelry you find in thrift stores, in baggies or jars, that people don't really want to wear. Like single earrings, broken necklaces, things that are out of fashion, but they're just perfect added to journals. And I think I'll put this one here. cute is that? One peacock looking this way, one peacock looking that way. Kind of asymmetrically slanted. I like that. And then I want to put something in here. I'm thinking this one. That works. Some of the pages I'm just going to leave as they are. But yeah, the coffee dyed and the cardstock pages, I kind of felt like they look good with things on them. Yeah, we're going to do another paper clip on this page. This one, let's use one of these bright purple. Do I want a bright purple? No, you know what? After putting the actual journal together, I think that purple is too bright, but I am going to tie some sari trim onto this one. I feel like every time I get quiet, the water fountain for the kitties gets louder. But you know what? At least they don't try to jump up when I'm crafting here anymore. I found a, oops, that went in the wrong place. There we go. I found a little trick online that cats hate the sound and the feeling of tinfoil under their paws. And so if there's a spot you don't want your cats to jump up anymore, you put tinfoil there. And so it's off camera and covered in stuff, so I can't show you right now. But I have put tinfoil on this table even when I'm not using it. And that has absolutely stopped Domino, who used to always jump up here. Stopped him completely from jumping up here. Now I want something in there too. Maybe I'll put this. That's not bad layered like this. A couple of journaling cards, both vintage images. I didn't mean for this corner to get glued down, but it's okay. Mistakes happen in crafting, and luckily the journal still looks pretty good, even in spite of the mistakes. That is actually a pocket, so I think, ooh, actually, because it's that off-white ribbon, I'll put a little black and white guy down there. That works. Maybe layer them. Isn't this cool how the frame is like a feather that has a peacock head? Yeah, I like these layered. And I'm going to stick this in there too. Oh, stay. Yeah, this side needs something. I think I'm going to glue this down as a pocket. I'm going to round just the one corner and then re-ink that. Is this the longest video I've ever filmed? I think it might just be. I made sure to wait an hour after finishing my coffee before filming this one so I'm not dancing at the end, and luckily that worked. Live and learn. You know what? That would look really good in there. I painted my nails red just for the sake of the Valentine's Day journal flip through. The coffee dyed paper, it doesn't dry flat. It dries a little bit warped. So I find that this piece that I'm gluing down is not staying straight. It's like bubbling. So I'm gonna just put these here while it dries, and then I'll take them off once it's dry. That's a little trick I do, by the way. If you find that it slows you down waiting for glue to dry on a page before you move on to the next page. Oh no, I did that off camera. I'm sorry. It's a thing. I really struggle crafting while the camera's rolling. Yeah, I wore red nail polish the day I did my Valentine's journal flip through, and it was while I still had those red nails that I printed out these peacock designs, and it must have done that. I can't think of what else that might be. But yeah, see, this glue is torture to nail polish. Oh well. But anyway, I might just write a note for May on this page, and that'll kind of cover up the red. Or I might take some pencil crayons and draw more little red bits in there. At least it would kind of match the color of the tail feathers. Because I think that this needs to go in that pocket. It's too pretty. And then that leaves us with just one last piece of ephemera. So I am going to muck up my fingers even more and gild the edges right here on camera. So whoops, I forgot. Before I gild the edges, I always like to ink the back of a thing. I don't know why, but I just don't like a stark white. If I'm using a white page in a journal, I just have to ink it. There. And then I do this. I've got a tutorial video up in my tutorials playlist that I filmed last Christmas of making a kintsugi inspired vase, where I take my printable of vases and gild around the edges, and then I tear the paper, and then glue it back together with gold paint, inspired by the Japanese art of kintsugi, where they repair broken pottery with gold to make it even more valuable than the original unbroken piece. And it's a symbol of the fact that imperfection is just as beautiful as perfection. So I have actually done this on camera once before, but even still, it's a bit nerve-wracking. But yeah, there we go. It turned out fairly smooth, and this piece just looks finished now. And I'm going to let it dry on plastic so that it's not going to muck anything up. And now, when I have gluey fingers, not gluey, sorry, when I've got gold paint on my fingers, I never wash it off and waste it. I always find something lying around that could be beautified by a little bit of gold paint. And so today, this pink coffee dyed paper is getting it on the torn edge. And I'm just gonna kind of smear it and grunge it a little. Yet when I say I don't like to waste anything, I mean anything, even the mucky gold paint on my finger. See? Why waste the gold paint when you can make a paper look even prettier? And I always save these things, the packaging that my bubble mailers come in, because that's where that's gonna go to dry. So yeah, I will set this off to the side. This is the only piece that's not going to make it into the journal on camera. But when I do I'll do a flip through of the entire Happy Mail I've made for May. I'll film it before I send it to her, and then I'll publish the flip through once she receives it, so it'll still be somewhat of a surprise for her. But when When I do that, I'll do a flip through of this little journal. And I might change around where these go so that they're not falling out of the pocket. But for now, yeah, and I'll probably do a couple more little embellished paper clips so that this whole side has pretty dangles. You know what? I'm gonna do those on camera too. I hate saying I'm going to do a thing entirely on camera and then not doing it entirely on camera. Let's see, here it is, my little bead tray. See, like this is the kind of thing I find in jewelry jars, like an elastic bracelet where it's obviously old, torn elastic, but the beads are still usable. So there's one dangle. Ooh, and then these beautiful beads. Again, old, outdated necklace, but the beads are gorgeous. So, yeah, paper is my love. I love paper in journals, but junk jewelry and textiles come in at a close second. Ooh, and I missed that, so that'll get clipped in. So I'm just getting myself another little bit of wire over here. Okay. Let's see which of these is usable. So if you don't have an eye pin or a head pin, you can take your pliers and just do a little something like that on the bottom of some wire. Don't tell me it wasn't in focus, but there, just like that. And then put your beads. Will I have room for two? Maybe not. That's cute, but no, it's too short. So I'll do that on this one. This one already has a thing on the bottom. There we go. Funny, before I film, I always tell myself I'm going to leave my sleeves down because talk about self-conscious. I don't like the way my arms look on camera, but then when I try to craft with my sleeves down, they get in the way, so I wind up breaking my plan. This one I'm just going to squish that and then snip off the excess. Oh, breakable. So I'll do it like last time. Okay, now let's do this. Look at, see, such a beautiful frosted, like peacock green glass bead and a frosted lavender bead. And the fact that these were ruled like junk jewelry. As they say, one lady's junk is another lady's junk journal. I'm going to use this bead here. Oh, isn't that pretty? I think that's pretty. I find when I buy a junk jewelry jar or a junk jewelry bag, there's usually, I divide my, I almost said winnings, because they do kind of feel like a lottery ticket, don't they? You could wind up with trash or with treasure. I divide up my score into 3 piles. The pile of stuff that I'm keeping that becomes a part of my personal collection, like to use in my own journal, or if it's really nice and something I want to wear, stuff I'm going to wear. So I get my pile of keep. Another pile is a pile of stuff I want to use, like use in journals like this one. And then I guess 4 piles. A third pile is redonate, like stuff that I just would never use. And then the last pile is trash. And the trash pile is like, oh my God, you wouldn't believe the gross things I've found in jewelry jars that are absolutely unusable. And like I wouldn't even redonate them because they're actual garbage. Like I've found press-on nails that had been glued to a lady's hand that broke off. So yeah, I found broken fingernails. Last week, my Aunt Mary Lynn gave me a jewelry jar she found thrifting. And when I dumped it out onto my tray, there was a spider in the jar, dead, so not alive, but even still, I'm arachnophobic, so that was not a pleasant discovery. And then a lot of the times there's like bits of wire like this that are small and bent out of shape that can't be used for anything. So yeah, keep, use in crafts, donate back to the thrift store, and actual garbage. Let's see, I'm gonna go to that lace page that had like 3 different things in it, and I'm going to take one of them, this one, so that there's something under this clip here. Oh yeah, there we go. I did it. I made an entire little journal entirely on camera. See how cute those page edges look once they're decorated with stuff. So there you have it, May. This little mini journal is going to go in your next Happy Mail. And anybody who's watched this, thank you for watching this far into it. I'm not doing a giveaway draw today. I'll put something in this pocket. I'm not sure what yet, but maybe one of these cards. Where did these come from? Oh, I know where these came from. I'll coffee dye this before I give the journal to May. But yeah, that'll go there. That must have fallen out of this package. This was thrifted. I found this. The price isn't on it anymore, but I think it was 10 cents for that package of beautiful cards. But yeah, let's do a little mini flip through right now, and then I will end the video. Yeah, if you were inspired, I might move that somewhere else because that's not enough of a pocket to hold it. But yeah, if you were inspired and you'd like to make one of these, the printables are available in my Etsy shop. And that includes literally everything that I used today, except for the textile pieces and the junk jewelry. Oh, and the coffee dyed paper. But everything else that I used today is in the kit. And if you do make something with it, I would love to see what you made. So please tag me on Instagram if you post it. Oh, I love that. I love these colors. Yeah, and if you know what kind of paper I can use that's not as heavy as cardstock, but that prevents the ink from bleeding through to the other side, please let me know. Ah, that's where this will go. Such pretty little beads, aren't they? When I was in high school, these were such trendy beads. Kids would wear them woven into hemp necklaces, and the local shops marketed them as miracle beads, and so everyone thought they had some kind of magical property. Silly kids, it's crystals that have natural healing property, not plastic iridescent beads. And of course I'm joking. I think magical items are any items we decide are magical. And there's the back cover. To me, anything handmade with love is magical. So yeah, my little peacock journal for May. Let me know if you liked it. I hope you did. Let me know if you make one of your own. So much love to you. Thank you for watching all the way to the end if you did. Happy crafting, and I'll see you Saturday. Bye for now.